Hello, dear YouTube world. This is Echo, and yeah, I'm tuning in to share about upcoming retreats and trainings and workshops and life in general. And I'm tuning in from Japan, so I'm here in the snowboarding season in my little sanctuary in the winter of life. I think so important every season to really have a time of integration. And I have had 2, almost 3 years of sunny Latin American, dancey, fiery vibes that have opened my heart and opened my mind to a multitude of my capacities and my incapacities. And I have been blown wide open in my heart space, and I have fallen in love, and I have fallen out of love, and I have, moved through the waves of ecstasy and pain and rebirth and death, and it has been a journey. And I have landed back to where so much of it has begun in Japan. And I'm having a moment to really integrate what this past 3 year cycle has meant. And this energy is like fueling the upcoming offerings, and I'm so excited to have a space like this, to have, social media can be such a drain, and it is such a drain. Facebook and Instagram, the desire to create this avatar of perfection and of beauty, and for so many of us, this need for external validation, which makes sense. We want to feel accepted, we want to feel loved, we want to feel beautiful, we want to feel a part of something. And yet, a lot of times when we go to these platforms, we don't leave feeling that way. And so my desire here on this channel is to, be a resource and a tool for people to come back home to themselves for the first time, or for the 15th or the millionth time, to really come back to their center, to come into a place of self-love and acceptance and of nurturing. And coming into the most important relationship of their entire life is the one with ourselves. And that is what I've learned over the past 3 years. It has been such a transformational time of me really learning to be with me learning about what an echo is, me learning what it means to love her and to hold her and to nurture her and to be with her pain. And that has, been supported by lots of different trainings and lots of different modalities and lots of podcasts and lots of books, and none of that really being important. And what being important is like being in these kind of rooms by myself, sitting with myself, loving myself, healing myself, so that I can have something to say, that I can have something to share when I open my mouth and when I offer practices here. And I step into a place of leadership, that I actually have something to say with rational authority, and not really authority at all, but the authority of just being useful to people in a time where we need usefulness, because we've got a lot of useless distraction. We've got a lot of distraction in beauty and in noise and in movies and entertainment, and really all that matters is that we know how to be with ourselves, to really, really be with ourselves and to love ourselves. And so that, all that aside, there are some beautiful offerings coming up this year. So coming up in March, we have the only fully online teacher training that will be happening this year with Our Echo Yoga, and it is facilitated by myself, and I also have two incredible co-teachers, Evangelos Eik of Greece and Maria Maxey of Denmark, with beautiful lessons in their own rights of embodiment and of play and of anatomy and of flow and of yin. And this training is very comprehensive, and it's not just for those of you that want to be yoga teachers. It is for all walks of life that are simply interested in diving into all things themselves. And it's not an easy practice. It's not an easy training. And over the last 3 years, we've run 5 of these teacher trainings, and they are 5 months long apiece. And each class has had their extraordinarily difficult challenges and triumphs and so much beauty that comes from it. But also, when we dive into the muck of our internal worlds, like, we unsettle everything. So we unsettle the gold in the shadow, but we unsettle the difficulty in the shadow, the darkest recesses of the mind, like the wounds, the limiting beliefs, the beliefs that we're not lovable or worthy or good enough or abundant, or that people are going to walk away from us, or that we're not chosen. That stuff comes up, and we compete with ourselves, and we feel not good enough. And that's the beauty. It's like when we're doing the real work and shit gets real, like, can we stay in it? And so this training is beginning at the beginning of March, and we already have a beautiful group of people coming together, and there are still spaces left for everyone around the world. And 75% of the material is pre-recorded, and then you will have 5 to 6 live classes a week with myself, Maria, and Evangelos. We also have a WhatsApp group running throughout the training that will be facilitated by myself, the teachers, and our 2 assistants. So there is support consistently through the process of moving through these modules. And if you're in a full-time job, or if you're not in a full-time job and you have all the time in the world, everyone has been able to get through the material within those 5 months. And there is spaciousness, but it is challenging. So it's a discernment of, like, can you really show up for this? Like, this is something to really show up for. So this starts in March, or at the end of March, so April-ish until July. Then we have the hybrid training, which is 2 months online. It begins in August or September. I need to look at the dates. And you will have 2 or 3 months online, and then we will have 2 weeks in Guatemala, an intensive at the beginning of November of this year. It is the first in-person portion of the training after 3 years online. So we're really excited about this hybrid, and I'm really excited to see who joins for this one. We also have the Detangling the Human Heart, the Path from Trauma to Tantra, beginning in April. And it's a month-long course, and it's all things attachment wounds, attachment theory, intimate relating, authentic relating, boundary setting, the will of consent. It is about how to communicate with yourself, with what you need. It is knowing your boundaries. It is knowing your needs. It is knowing the wounds that you have and how they get itched and what's going to happen in relationship to other, and giving you the resources and the space to go into a relationship with a healthier way of relating, and not projecting and expelling all that is within you, all that fear, onto your partner or your friend or your coworkers or your family. It's like, how do I hold space for myself so that I do not leak that energy onto the external world and take from others? And so it's all things human relating, and all of the things come up, and it is a juicy container for a month online. We get into art therapy, we get into dance therapy, we get into theory and depth psychology, writing, into stream of consciousness writing, and many different practices of meditation and yoga that will help you resource yourself for the moments that you don't feel resourced, the moments that you feel on your knees and humbled in your pain and in your challenges. And so all of this work is so that when we're in those moments of resourcing and we're centered and we're good, that we absorb the teachings, we absorb the transmissions, that we create that resilience, like that emotional literacy, so that in the moments when we falter, that all the tools are there for us to fall back on, and that we don't feel like we are falling into the abyss of pain and suffering, but that we have an anchor, that we have a lifeline back to ourselves. I'm also doing private coaching and private therapy that is based around Hakomi principles and internal family systems and family constellations, and NARM, the neuroaffective relational model, which I've been trained in, and different trauma-informed practices. And so for those of you that are like really deep in the suffering and in your shadow around whether it's abundance or abandonment or sexuality and repression and gender roles and power dynamics, I'm here as a resource. I'm here as a tool. And so I encourage you to reach out. My email is echo@echoflowyoga.com. The website is www.echoflowyoga.com. Instagram is _Hour Echo, and then another underscore, and you can find me in all of these places. I also have a profile on Insight Timer with endless free meditations and talks. The YouTube channel has hundreds of yoga classes. So I encourage you, like, even if you don't reach out personally, use these things as resources to bring yourself back home. And I have been there. I have been lost in the sea of my suffering, and I have dragged down my loved ones into the abyss with me without a way to get back. And I know how painful it can be. And as they say, you know, hope is for the hopeless. I know how hopeless it can feel. And so I'm here. I'm here as a lighthouse in a sea of darkness. And I need my lighthouses sometimes as well. But I am learning each and every day to be the brightest lighthouse I can be for myself first and foremost, and then to give whatever I can back. So I'm here. And that's all. And that's everything.